This episode is presented by Destination New South Wales. Discover experiences that will energise you and make you feel new. Head to sydney.com to find out more.
And then I'm gonna slide.
The last episode of Rivals saw the Evoker Jesus Wade Carmichael tear pumping waves at his beloved home break into a billion tiny pieces. This episode, we visit one of the world's most competitive lineups at North Narrabeen to catch up with Jordy Lawler as he begins his quest to become the next Rivals champion.
With Wade's heated wrap, we leave Evoker and head south to Sydney's northern beaches to link up with Narrabeen whiz kid Jordy Lawler. First stop, Booty National Park, for some mind-boggling nature walks along the rugged cliffs and coastline of the Central Coast. We wash that down with some suds at the Boathouse Hotel in Patonga, overlooking one of the world's largest estuaries, followed by a quick flick in the Hawkesbury for a giant jewfish. Next up, it's a tour of Palm Beach, aka Summer Bay, home of Australia's favourite soap opera, Home and Away. Then we try our hand at yet another world-class golf course in Mona Vale. From there, it's a quick rip around the corner to the iconic high-performance surf mecca of Narrabeen.
Jordy Lawler, 27, from North Narrabeen.
One for the core lords. Buried deep in a Narrabeen basement, jamming out heavy metal riffs, Jordy Lawler is summoning the energy for yet another tilt at surfing's world tour. After missing out by just one place in 2022, this Northern Beaches aerial shaman and rail wizard is once again on the cusp of qualification for surfing's elite level.
When I first fell in love with the ocean would have been when I first got my first barrel or something. My dad was like, oh, that was sick, and then like, let's go get a chocky milkshake. I used to like chuck on a rashie and pretend I was in a heat and surf my driveway, and that was like me pretending I was on tour or something, like surfing pipe beyond my like toes, like bottom turning in my rashie, like, yeah. It's pretty funny.
Jordy's a bit of a little pocket rocker, a bit shorter in stature and everything, but he packs a punch with his strength and stuff on his turns and his rail game.
He kind of almost like reminds me of like a hedgie or something. Like he's like, you know, just got like a bit of a bulldogish kind of like weapon surfer, like just tear the bag out of it.
It's surprising, like he takes off and you never know what he's gonna do. Like he'll just do quick whips down the line or do the biggest air you've seen in a while.
His forehand is just unbelievable. Some absolute big blowtails, big laybacks. He's got some sick airs on dial, a couple different grabs and stuff that he does, and I love watching his surfing, so stylish and stuff, so it's gonna be sick.
Cole Smith was like a goofy footer from here, and he was like the king. And then he moved up the coast or something. And then someone wrote that in the concrete here, saying stay off Cole Smith's left. So I did them for Tookie and Jordy. Pretty stoked with that. In the morning I always sit here so I can like look at that, have a coffee, listen to music and check the surf. This is my little bench.
With a list of world champions, world tour surfers, and all-round surfing legends that includes Damien Hardman, Terry Fitzgerald, Cole Smith, Nathan Hedge, Laura Enova, Chris Davidson, and so many more, North Narrabeen is one of the most storied beaches in the world.
Yeah, growing up at Narrabeen, everyone knows everyone, and out in the lineup's just super tight. Every time you're surfing out there, it's pretty full on, and Everyone wants to surf better than you out there, so you gotta keep surfing hard.
The scene of some of the biggest and richest surfing contests in history, the beach is also home to a skit strain of localism and some of the most egregious wave sharing you're likely to see.
You really had to grow up with respect for your elders and stuff like that. If you're cheeky, you'd definitely know about it, you know? You get locked in the dog cage and they'd throw stuff at you and do other things I probably shouldn't mention on camera, but yeah, like crazy.
The dog cage at Narrabeen, you know, you'd have the stray dogs come down the beach in summertime and the lifeguards would have this designated cage that the owners had to come collect their dogs from. So depending on the scale of how cheeky you were, there was prospect of getting in there nude, sunburnt, not good, and the prospect of getting urinated on. Yeah, not good.
Narrabeen it's one of those beaches that it's still got a pretty strong pecking order, so you got to show a lot of respect and you got to give a lot of respect out there. You know, when I was growing up, I was watching guys like Cole Smith and Dapper Oliver, and you know, there was a bunch of guys out there who were sort of, I guess, underground guys who were pretty heavy, and they commanded a lot of respect, and if you didn't show it, they dealt with you accordingly.
Yeah, it was pretty full-on pecking order, and I remember fights and stuff in the water growing up for sure. People getting sent in and guys shaping up on the beach, and some pretty heavy stuff going down for sure. Pretty angry vibe out there because the level was so high, so on a good day the locals were getting their waves, and if ring-ins would come out and try and get waves, I remember it being a bit of chaos, you know.
You could almost call them like gods or something, like the Hedgies and Doomer and stuff like that. Yeah, you just hear their name a bunch, you know. You wouldn't really see them. You just know that they're like the kings around here, you know.
When he was super young, I remember he was just like a real little kid. He was pretty shy, he was pretty reserved, he kept to himself.
I remember Jordy coming on strong as a grom, like always been really enthusiastic, and you could see the flair and the talent in him from early. And he'd be out there wide-eyed and always sort of, you know, was real polite, but also had a bit of mongrel in him too, that he would, you know, want to get the better waves, and he was always pushing the envelope. So it was cool to see him come through, and you always knew he was going to be on the world stage sooner or later at some point for sure. You could see it.
You could see he had the talent when he was super young. You know, he had that, he could read a wave really well. He was always positioned well in the lineup. He got the best waves. So I think, you know, he's definitely gone on with the job.
He's doing us proud, 100%. You know, I think he's a good kid, and you know he's got all the skills necessary and the artillery and all the moves. So yeah, he's a force to be reckoned with, and you know, we're so proud of him and wish him all the best.
We used to skate past Doomer's house, Damien Hardman's house, and we'd go, oh, that's the house, you know, like that's where the king lives, you know, like 2 times world champ. And yeah, it's pretty funny that they're like massive icons around here, and yeah, I still see them surfing today, and yeah, they went from being these guys who I didn't really know but knew how important they were to the community to like becoming close friends with them. So yeah, pretty special.
After the break, we take a closer look at Jordy's path to the big time.
Welcome to Sydney. Upbeat, downbeat. Feel its heartbeat. Open spaces. Open arms. Open all night. Come feel it all. And feel new.
As a young kid, I had like a couple of good mates. One of the things that we used to do to each other would be like, oh, you got to do this if you want to be a pro surfer. Whether it be like go a set, close out or something like that, to something on land that's, you know, you wouldn't normally do and stuff like that. So we always used to say that to each other. So I've sort of always had that drive to be a pro surfer and be on tour.
With a silky smooth style and plenty of punt game, Jordy was a standout in the juniors, winning his first under-16 Grom Search event as a 14-year-old. The fiercely competitive ranks of the North Narrabeen Board Riders Club held Jordy in good stead as he launched his WQS campaign, breaking through for his first major win just a few headlands south at Manly, taking out a QS 6000 in 2019.
I've been watching that contest since it started, you know, since I was a young kid, and me and my mates used to go down and watch it, and yeah, and then I started competing in it. I think I lost like first or second round for a couple of years. And I was like, just started to think to myself, oh, I'm never gonna win the comp I always wanted to win, you know? And then yeah, in 2019 I got it done, and yeah, and I was just like, still to this day, like you get goosebumps from it. I just like, that was the happiest day of my life probably, and yeah, I always reflect on that day. It was very special, and yeah, having like my family and my friends there was like, you don't really get that at most comps because you're not at home, so yeah, it was a good one for sure.
The following season, Jordy performed well on the second-tier Challenger Series, only to miss out on World Tour qualification by a single place.
I've always thought to myself, like, since I started the QS, I was always been like, imagine if you like finish one spot off and you were that guy who just didn't make it.
I've missed out by a couple of spots, but number one, like out, like, and putting a yearly performance there on the board and then just missing by that one bit, just like, how do you get back on the horse?
Down the backside of Haleiwa, he was one spot out, like agonizingly short. So we all kind of felt for him and wanted to make sure he was okay, because that's what we dream of, is qualifying. So if you get so close, it's heartbreaking, you know.
I had Haleiwa to go. I was just above the cut line actually. I didn't know exactly what result I needed. I made my first round and got knocked in my second, and it was a 4-man heat. I actually got 4th in that heat, and if I got 3rd in that heat, I would have qualified. So I didn't know that straight away, but as soon as I got 4th, I knew it. Like, I just had the weirdest feeling that if I got 3rd, I would have qualified, and sure enough, that was the scenario. So it was like the worst way to lose, you know. Sometimes like that, you just gotta take it on the chin, but man, it was hard.
To get to that last event and he just missed out by one spot was just heartbreaking, and yeah, I was so sad to see that happen to him.
It hurts. I was a spot or 2 out when I missed out one year, and it hurts a lot.
You see him work so hard and do so well in a few events, and it's like so close, but yeah, it's a bummer to see him not quite get on there yet.
Yeah, Jordy missing out by one spot, it's always a hard pill to swallow. Like, you get so close but so far. But it can also give you a lot of confidence too, because he's only fresh to the scene, fresh to the QS. Knowing that he's done it within his first 2 or 3 years, you're like, it's game on the next couple, especially if he keeps improving at the rate he is.
Despite coming up agonisingly short of qualifying for the World Tour, Jordy got the chance to live out every goofy footer's dream and compete at the Pipe Masters.
So the morning of the event, I was like, packed all my boards in the car, acting like I was in the event, you know, just in case a start did happen. And so I was like to myself, I want to be the first one out, like in dark at Pipe, so like people see that, you know, this kid like wants to be out there and stuff like that. So I made sure I was like one of the first people out at Pipe in the morning of the event, and it was huge. It was like second reefing. I actually got one like really fun wave, and I was like, oh, that was sick, and I went straight in. I was like, that's all I need. I'm not gonna get another wave because it just got super crowded. Event's about to start, and I'm putting my board in the car, and I get a call saying, oh, you're in heat 2, and I'm like, what? Like, oh, it's the craziest moment. And I just, from then on, I just like called my mum and dad. I was like, Mum, Dad, I'm in the event, I'm in heat 2. And then it was like some ridiculous time in the morning here. It was like 4 or 5 a.m. or something. And they're like, oh, what's going on? I was like, I'm in. I couldn't picture a better place to do it, have it like a debut CT event, a perfect pipeline, so it was special. I got one in particular that I was like paddled so hard for and just got on the lip and like most beautiful barrel ever, and I'm just like standing in it. I don't usually like stand in barrels. It's just like one thing I just never really do. I don't know why, but I remember like properly standing in it, just going like just crazy, and then getting spat out and like had like the heat like after mine was like in the lineup, so I got like spat out onto them, and like kicked out in front of them, and like they were like, as I was paddling out, they were like splashing me, like going and I was just like amped to like get back out there and try and get another one.
For him to get the spot or get a wild card into pipe, I think would have made that process faster, and for him to do good surfing there too. So he should be feeling really confident after that, and he'll be going into this year really revved up.
So I'm glad he's gotten the opportunities and getting the experience, because I know that if he puts another performance like that there again, which he will in the years to come, he'll be on that world tour before he knows it, and he'll have the opportunity to have already kind of found his feet a little bit. It's nonetheless, you're getting the experience and competing against those guys, which gives you the confidence to go back and decimate them when you get the chance.
After the break, Jordy dials us into his local North Narrabeen.
Let's face it, nobody wants to get skunked. Don't go before you know. Know before you go. With Surfline, get live surf cams, long-range forecasts, and so much more. Surfline, we'll help you find your next wave.
The local lad, front side on one of the world's most playful rippable lefts, is sure to be a deadly combo. In Season 1, we saw senior Narrabeen rail shaman and former World Tour great Nathan Hedge slice and dice his way to a near boil-over victory. With similar cons on the cards, can Jordy do the same?
Narrabeen. This is going to be easy, Nate. He's going left, he's going to surf Narrabeen, and he's going to get every wave in that 3 hours.
It's pretty localised, that Narra. And so he might be able to kind of G-app a couple people to be like, hey, I've got this thing, and can you give me the waves and stuff?
Watching Hedgie's Rivals Heat and him getting Tommy Carroll involved, it was, it was cool to see like a couple generations kind of linking together. So will Jordy get Hedgie involved? We'll have to wait and see. It's kind of coming down the ladder, isn't it? Like Tommy, Hedgie, Jordy.
All the North Narra guys don't go too bad getting their waves, but if you can have an icon like Tommy Carroll down there telling you to go waves, I don't think anyone's going to be going at it. Even looking at him, I wouldn't be. Go Jordy.
I know they're a tight crew, but I reckon they're all pretty keen to get their waves as well. I reckon they give a shit, unless they're getting a percentage.
A persistent low pressure trough featuring multiple embedded lows remained near stationary just north of New Zealand for several days through the middle of April, supporting a long-lasting 20 to 30 knot easterly fetch over the Easter long weekend, and culminating in 15 to 20 foot seas west of New Zealand's North Island on Easter Monday. A solid mid-period east-southeast pulse moves in across Sydney at consistent head-high plus levels, as early offshore west-southwest winds open up ideal autumn conditions on Wednesday morning.
We got a little nor'east swell and nor'east wind. Looks kind of bumpy. I've got alley rights. I don't usually sit on the alley rights, but sometimes you got to if there's no lefts. Yeah, I reckon tomorrow could be really fun. The tide's like perfect for it. From what I can see, it looks pretty good. We'll surf this and then hopefully score in the morning. I'm a pretty terrible forecaster, to be honest. I'm normally getting it wrong than right, but got a couple of mates helping me out, trying to pick it, and so I'm kind of depending on them more than I am myself almost. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
Jordy Lawler at North Narrabeen is really dangerous for all of us. I think he knows that break really well. I mean, North Narrabeen, it can give a bit of everything. So he could be getting barrels, turns, airs. It's kind of what you'd want for rivals.
He surfs pretty much all day whenever I'm down there. He's in the water constantly. He's just going to go out there and just do his thing. He's a goofy footer going left. They're in their element from the get-go.
It's the sickest wave. It's like a crazy left, right ramps, left ramps.
He's obviously surfed there so much, and it's a long left, and he's just really good in those kind of conditions. So anything from like 2 to 6 foot at North Narrabeen is going to be really suited towards him.
We don't really get the most amazing waves here. We get great waves, but not like WA or, you know, where Jake is from, or even like Snapper where Sheldon is, you know.
I reckon if a southerly's blowing down at North Narrabeen, you could see a few massive airs, and then alley right, so you get his back end fired up, and then long point lefts, then long kind of fattish wobbly lefts. You could get like 6 to 8 turns off. And if it's a good bank, you could be rifling off a few, so we'll see what happens, but hopefully they don't score. Hopefully Narrabeen's pretty dismal.
Anything east, 4 to 6 foot would be really nice, so you can still do turns and airs and stuff like that. Offshore, real nice, dreamy, sunny day.
Yeah, I hope he doesn't get it, because it'd be hard to beat him if he does, so.
Hopefully the banks are shit there at the moment.
After the break, it's time to shine as Jordy hits the brine.
What's in that coffee order, mate?
Yeah, we got a triple shot almond latte. Each shot represents an hour, so 3 hours. This is my zone here, it's my parking spot.
Oh, big time?
Yeah.
Welcome to Rivals Season 3 for what will be a magic session of shreddery at the famous North Narrabeen surf break. Vaughan Blakey here with my good pal, colleague, co-host, Jed Smivvy Smiv. And Smivvy, back to Northie, back to where pro surfing really dominated in the 80s and 90s. What are you expecting to see from Jordy in this heat today?
I'm expecting plenty of sizzle from the North Narrabeen Loke. I mean, it's looking ruler edge, 3 to 4 foot, your classical East Coast conditions at one of the most consistent waves on the planet. As you mentioned, Vaughan, the bedrock of Australian competitive surfing and high-performance surfing for decades. And Jordy Lawler, well, he's a chip off the old block. Expect plenty of power hacks a la Nathan Hogg-Hedge with a bit of aerial wizardry straight out of the new school, Vaughan. He is very much part of that progressive new generation. This is his backyard. I mean, there is no place on earth he's more comfortable than 3 to 4 foot offshore, dreamy, ruler edge North Narrabeen. I'm expecting a couple of pits, some skits hacks, and some turbo rotating punts.
And he's off. Here goes Jordy, the high line. Look at this beautiful groom North Narrabeen line up, full rotor to the flat. So he means business. Those 3 shots of coffee, they're straight into the kneecaps. And look at this launch ramp. Oh, that is just beautiful stuff. That classic Northern Beaches golden light. Now, I've seen plenty of that, having come from North Narrabeen and South Narrabeen myself, Smivvy. Plenty of surfs out here, although I don't start the morning with rotations like that, my friend.
No warm-up, straight into a big old huck into the flats. Let's hope his knees and ankles are feeling all right, because that was some serious commitment on that one.
8 surfers competing for the title of Rivals Champion. And this looks like Jordy parking it in a beautiful little pit. Gets the vision, gets the float done. And that is just pretty precise surfing here. Look at this, stalls. Gets a lovely little barrel to kick off his morning. Puts it on the roof, stomps it into the gutter. And that's a great way to start a morning.
Awkward, technical little takeoff, but geez, he made it look easy, didn't he? And fully disappears, gets deep in that thing. Wow, some technical beach break wizardry from Jordy Lawler.
Yeah, beautiful timing as he rides across the roof. We've seen some amazing surfing so far. There's amazing surfing to come as Jordy Lawler takes off on another just beautiful high performance left. Throws the big hanger. Absolutely ditches Vince here. And this is about as progressive a turn as you'll see in this series.
Oh, how's how he just catches it on the front third of his board and just pivots. So much water just forcing its way through underneath the board there. It's incredible to have that kind of traction on a part of the board. There's no fins. Look at this thing. Wow, just fully corked, tweaked, sticks it as smooth as Sade.
All right, let's stick with him here as Jordy takes off on another beautiful wave, this time engaging the rail up onto the foam climb. There's one thing you can say about all surfers from North Narrabeen. They know how to put a heat together, Smithy. It's not just about being competitive in the lineup. They've got game with the Rashi on, and this is just a classic comp wave if I've ever seen it.
Oh, love that opening swerve. Plenty of speed through the turn. Straight back into another Rio and just comp modes the bejesus out of it like it's a one-star in Florianopolis.
No surprises that these guys know how to do it. Simon Anderson, Terry Fitzgerald, Damien Hardman. Oh, there's been so many. Nathan the Hog Hedge, of course. The great veiny foreign hero himself. Just dootsing it from the reef to car park rights and back to the slab. Oh, he's one of the all-time greats out here and no doubt an inspiration to surfers like Jordy Lawler. As we see him again, Smithy, taking off here, high line, plenty of speed. He loads it up, huge full rotor. Oh, he just has to throw that one away, but he's not leaving anything in the tank. I like his theory here. He knows that he's going to be surfing against guys who have waves like Snapper Rocks, waves like Gas Bay in Western Australia, really punchy waves with lots of opportunity to get big, heavy moments. This is a fun day at Narrabeen, so if Jordy wants to take the win, this is the kind of surfing he has to bring to the table.
Yeah, just loses that one in the exploding lip. But you're right, Vaughan, it is a savvy strategy. He's going to be having to go to the air, and that is one of his strengths if he wants to win this.
Beautiful work by our camera crew here. They've got every angle covered. Jordy checking for damage. It's amazing just how thin and light this equipment is these days. Snapping off the top, cracking it again. So he's getting plenty of work done out here, Jordy. But it's just lacking a bit of fireworks to really challenge for the win so far. Because, I mean, any other day, you'd be turning up going, this is one of the greatest surfs I've ever had. But he knows he's got to go further. A big tail blow into a Clay Marzo-esque. Wow, Larry. That's got to feel good. Let's check this one out on the replay. Gets the big tail blow. That is just Marzo, Maui's finest every day of the week.
Hold the phone. I'm going to need some time with this, Vaughan. Let me just wrap my head around what's even gone on here. That is a drop wallet blowtail deluxe. And he's kind of spun it around into a reverse there. He's doing a bit of yoga, a bit of kundalini, and he just pulls that thing out of the fire. Doesn't even burn his fingers. I am just in shock at what I just saw. What was that?
I mean, he dropped his wallet so far back, he had to basically get in his car and drive to Warriewood to get it. And Lawler staying busy on the back end now. Haven't seen him attack this little alley right yet. Cracks that vertical. Nooner alert, and a good finish. Look how things are starting to ramp up here, Smithy. Oh, this is Cole Smith. You heard Jordy Lawler talk about him right at the start there. His name etched into the concrete in front of the surf check bench at Narrabeen, and that's what he was famous for. He brought the Nooner to surfing. That's just beautiful attack. Beautiful morning here at North Narrabeen as Rivals Series 3 heats up. We've seen the old legends go at it, both the men's and the women's in seasons 1 and 2, but now it is time for the next generation, and they're putting on a show. Jordy Lawler here, getting a couple of nice off the tops, and it's not really finding much power in this wave, Smithy.
Nah, I mean, but geez, it's a dreamy scenario, isn't it? He's having an absolute blinder of a session. All things considered, there's been tubes, there's been punts, and there has been one of the most progressive manoeuvres we've seen this series.
Well, any grommet in the world, mate, would cut school for a day like this. So you would have to be so frothing if you turned up at your local beach, and this is what it was serving up. Oh, he goes the full rotor as someone comes at him. It's a battle royal. Now pull out the jousting sticks.
A bit of chicken here on the lead in. He sees the bloke kick out
and has just enough time to stick an air rev. Do you get extra points for just danger money?
Oh, you must. Put on your night helmets, get out your jousting sticks. This is going to go down. As Jordy, this is the great angle. Look at this guy heading straight towards him, and he goes, cop a bit of that, mate. It's been an incredibly fun session to watch. Jordy threw absolutely everything at it. Did he have the mind-blowing turns to take out the win? Ooh, I don't know. But let's throw it down to him and see what he makes of Rivals Season 3.
My body is stiff, I need like a bath or something. It was really fun out there. Shame it wasn't like a couple of foot bigger or something. It would have been pumping, but super fun.
Let's do that layback, mate. I don't understand what you did.
Oh, it was so weird, I was like, it was like the wave kind of sucked, and I was like, oh, I don't know why I'm doing this, and I was like, just gonna put everything into this turn and just do something weird, and yeah, I was actually so stoked at that. I don't know, it felt so cool, but I don't know how it looks. Probably looks pretty weird. At least I come out of it like knowing that I gave it a good nudge. That's all. So much fun. I love surfing on days like this, so I'm so stoked I did it.
Well, there you have it. Jordy Lawler, a little bit sore, a little bit beaten up. Maybe try drinking some water instead of 3 coffees before you paddle out in the morning, mate. The dehydration, that's what's getting you. But all in all, Smithy, a really strong performance. He really went at it.
Oh, he's put the high vis on and he's gone to work. Hammer and tong all morning. Jacka on the jackhammer. Just hucking him into the flats. Jeez, it was hard yakka from the North Narrabeen, the Lawler, the brawler, Jordy Lawler.
Yeah, well, has he done enough to take out Rival Season 3? Stay with us. We'll have to watch a few more heats before we find out.
The whole time I was like frothing. It felt like I was in heat. It was pretty sick. Had a few of my mates blocking for me out there and making sure I was on the better waves, and yeah, no, it was pretty good. I'm actually kind of stoked. It was kind of slow because I think if it was just pulsing, I would just freak out and try and catch everything. So it was kind of nice. It was a little bit slow, so it allowed me to like just relax and pick off better waves. I got a couple little honey pots, which I'm pretty stoked on. A couple little tubes, nothing special, but a tube's better than no tube. Yeah, it's just like a perfect morning, I reckon. Like, it's kind of like what I do every day.
Next week on Rivals, we roll down the rocky escarpment south of Sydney to meet our final competitor, Killarney Ball.
This episode is presented by Destination New South Wales. Discover experiences that will energise you and make you feel new. Head to sydney.com to find out more.